Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Quite Frankly. Now today we're going to do something different. Now you know that mostly our channel is based on photography tips, right? Photography, video. Today we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to talk about two of the most used operating systems in the world. No, it's not Windows and Mac OS. It's actually Android and iOS. So join us for today's episode of Quite Frankly. Hey guys, now most of you guys probably know this. You wake up in the morning and what is the first thing you do? Of course you open up your eyes, right? Okay, put on your glasses. But besides that stuff, you grab your phone and you start checking your social media, your YouTube, or whatever you do, right? In the last few years, the mobile phone has changed actually from something you call with to something that's a vital part of our life. We use it all the time. We use it constantly, even if you're on the restroom. I know you do. I don't, of course, but hey. So anyway, one of the most important things in your life is your mobile phone. It's your connection to your friends. It's your connection to the news. Let's be honest, which one of you guys still reads the newspaper? You know, the ones on paper? Nobody. We read it digitally. Now, for years and years, I've used iOS. I've used the iPhones. I absolutely love the iPhones. I still do. I'm a big Apple fanboy. Only in the last half year, if you followed my channel, you know that a lot of stuff has changed. I don't use a lot of Apple products anymore for the simple reason, one, they're way overpriced, and two, I think they're actually running behind at the moment. So, I never thought this day would come that I actually would change my iPhone for an Android device, but it has happened. And in today's episode, I'm actually not going to talk about what makes the Note great, or what do I hate about the top notch, or the eyebrow, or whatever you want to call it on the iPhone X. There's many sites who do that. I just want to keep it simple. I want to keep it very down to earth. I just want to tell you guys what struck me when I switched from iOS to Android. And we're going to do it in chapters. And the first chapter is going to start now. And it's going to be called the interface. Now, most of the time you work, of course, on your phone. You have all your apps and you have folders. And on iOS, I was used to having everything on, well, a very nice and neat order. So one page was actually for my fitness, one page was for the news, one page was for social media, and within that I had folders. The problem was, over the years, you collect a lot of apps, and I mean a lot of apps. And sometimes maybe it's my age, but I didn't know where an app was. Now, of course, you can swipe down and actually search for that app. And this was one of the first things that struck me when I switched to Android. First, it looked very chaotic. I was used to everything nice, and with Android, you can literally put your apps anywhere, and it was confusing. Now, the first thing you have to realize in Android, there are actually two pages. For me as an iOS user, probably if you're an Android user, you go like, Frank, that's not correct, but hey, bear with me. It's my opinion. So if you swipe up, you actually get your apps drawer. That's where all your apps are that are on your phone. You can also, of course, rearrange them there. And for me, that looks a little bit like what iOS was. Now, if you use your normal home screen and all the other screens, this is where it gets interesting. You can put widgets on there, like for example the weather or a live YouTube counter. And you can do all kinds of other stuff like news. And in between that, you can put your apps. Sounds pretty logical, right? The thing is that I really like about the Android system is that you can actually put an app in different locations. So for example, if you have a folder social media, that's pretty clear. You have a folder social media. So your Facebook, your pages, everything else goes into that folder. But what if you have an app that actually tests your Wi-Fi and your internet speed? In which folder should you put it? The apps folder, the internet folder, the Wi-Fi folder, or the handy tools for when I need them folder? On Android, you just put them in all. So you put that one app in every single folder, so now you never have to look for it again. So that's one of the things that I really like, and I like that you can customize the look a lot. I still think that Android looks a little bit less clean than iOS, but hey, that's something you can get used to. Now, you all know that we love to listen to music, right? YouTube, music, podcasts. It's awesome that there's so much stuff now online. The thing is, and this is something that I really have to say between the iPhone and the Note, because this is a little bit of a mix between what did I like about iOS, what do I like about Android, and most of all also what do I think about the Note. Don't flame me for this, but the speaker compared to the iPhone, I don't want to say it's pathetic, but it's different. Let me put it that way. The iPhone has great sound. This has great sound. You hear what's going on. The thing is that I like about Android, and this is something that bugged the heck out of me on iOS, is that I can now actually pull down my volume, and I can actually put my volume for media, notifications, system, and everything else. I can just put it per item. I can change the volume, and that is something that I really like about the Android system, because yeah, sometimes you don't want your notifications to come way over your media that you're listening at that point. So that's one thing that I really like. Now, when you watch YouTube and when you watch your media, and of course when you're out in the sun and you want to check your emails, your screen is very, very important. Now, for me, my phone is literally my office. I always tell people, the computer in the studio I use a lot during photo shoots and editing. My laptop, that's where actually I almost live. It's where I do editing the vlog, where I do a lot of the surfing. It's my main workhorse. Actually, my laptop is used more than my desktop. But you know the device I use even more than my laptop? That's my phone. And that's why I always like the bigger phone. So I had the iPhone 7 Plus, and before that I had the 7. And every time when you can make a bump in screen size, I'm there because I need that little extra screen space. Now, of course, it's not only screen. Now, I was still in doubt between the iPhone X or, the iPhone 10 or the Android Note 8. And the reason was not only the screen size, but the thing was that notch in the screen. As a professional photographer, and I love to do video, I don't want that notch in my screen. I film something or I take a photo of something and I want it to be full screen without a notch. And of course you can change that in iOS, but that will sacrifice your screen size. But there was something else, and that was actually the reason I went for the Note 8. Now, when you fly a drone, you absolutely have to look on the screen of your phone, right? Now, in the bright sun, that was already a little bit of a problem with the iPhone 7 Plus. Although it had a lot of light output, you still couldn't very easily focus manually for the very simple reason. It's not a very, very bright screen. Now, the iPhone 7 Plus, I believe, is 750 nits. That's the light output. So the more nits, the more light output you get. This one has actually around 1250 nits. And that's a lot. Now, when you look at the new iPhone 10, that only has 625 nits. Now, when I know that on my iPhone 7 Plus, I already, in the bright sun, couldn't really see my emails or websites, I had to go to a little bit of shade. It wasn't that bad, but in the bright sun, it's always a battle, right? So if you go from 750 to actually 625 on the new, I think you will see a lot of people with the iPhone 10 actually going for shade or finding other solutions because it's a dim screen. And because we fly with drones also, I want to be able to see that screen also in the bright sun. So that's what was another point for me to go actually for the Note 8. But there's more, and that also has to do between iOS and Android. So in the next chapter, I'm going to talk to you about something that's very vital, video and photography. Now, as you know, I'm a professional photographer. I love doing video for you guys. And all those reviews that go like, you don't need a DSLR or SLT anymore. We have the iPhone 10 or the Note 8 or the Galaxy S8 or whatever phone you like, the Pixel XL. Let's make one thing clear. Don't even think that the quality of your phone can come close to the quality of a DSLR. It's ridiculous. If you really believe those reviews, I don't even know what to say. Trust me, they're not even close. Now, something else. If you followed our vlog, you know that we recently went to Denmark, right? And at one point we took the bikes and we actually went through Copenhagen. Now, you can bring your expensive 42 megapixel camera with you in your backpack, but every time when you stop, you have to open up the backpack, take your camera out, take a picture, put it back in the backpack, put the backpack on your back, and well, I'm already tired when I tell you guys this. With a smartphone, you simply take out your phone, take a picture, and you're done. That's it. So that's something that I really like about smartphone photography. And in all honesty, what is more important? 42 megapixels, high dynamic range, no noise at 3200 ISO. Or do you just want to take the picture? In most cases, I just want to take the picture when I'm traveling. And that's where a smartphone really, really excels. You don't need to bring an expensive camera anymore. You can do it with your smartphone, but the quality will be less. But hey, you have the pictures, right? So how is the quality? Well, video-wise, I was a little bit disappointed at the keynote from the iPhone X that they actually didn't give a lot of attention to 4K 60, because that's a big deal. Being able to film in 4K 60 means buttery smooth video. I was a little bit surprised that Apple gave more attention to the talking the talking chicken, and that other pile of, I don't want to say what it was, but it talked. You know what I mean, right? And they didn't give a lot of attention to the 4K 60. What I would expect for a smartphone that's in the $1,000 range, in the Netherlands actually 1,350 euro if you want the 265 gig version, because the 64, let's be honest, that's way too low. I expect it to be a lot of attention focused on video instead of a lot of attention to any emojis, because let's be honest, which 13-year-old will buy an iPhone X? And I'm a grown-up man, I like emojis, but I'm not going to spend a lot of money for that. If it's a 300 euro smartphone, I understand, but on the iPhone, I want attention for video and photography. Now, the iPhone always has been a great contender for photography. The iPhone 7 Plus, great. There were a few things that frustrated the heck out of me as a professional photographer, and that's being able to shoot RAW. On the iPhone, I always had to use Lightroom Mobile, and I love Lightroom Mobile. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome to take a picture, and when you're home it's already on your computer with all the adjustments. That rocks. But you have to install a widget on your home screen and then unlock your phone, and we're going to talk about it later, and then you can take your picture in RAW. What I like about the Android is very simple. I just double click on my power button and I'm in my camera. So double click and you're in the camera. And that's something that I really like. So now when I see something, it's double click and I can immediately take the picture, so I don't lose that momentum. Is there also something that I don't like? Well, I like shooting RAW, and in the standard camera app from Android, you can shoot RAW, DNG. There's one thing that frustrates the heck out of me, and Samsung, if you're listening, you have to solve this. And the frustrating part is I didn't see this mentioned in any other review, and it drives me nuts. Guys, really, you claim to be professional photographers reviewing a Note 8 and you missed this one? If you want to be able to shoot RAW, you have to go into the professional mode of your camera. It's very simple, you just swipe. There's one weird thing. I bought the Note 8 because it has two cameras, and I'm one of those guys that love to use the tele lens, so that brings everything closer to your face. Now, you have the wide angle lens and you have the tele lens, and I love that longer lens. So why is it only possible to shoot the DNGs on the wide angle lens, Samsung? There are two sensors in there, there are two lenses in there. Don't make that choice for me. If I go to the professional mode, I want to be able to shoot both the long lens and the wide lens in RAW. If I want to use the long lens now, I have to go to the amateur mode, the auto mode, which isn't bad, but it only shoots JPEGs. And you know all what we think about JPEGs, right? They're okay, but they're not a professional form of storing your photos. So that's something that frustrates the heck out of me. Is it solvable with a firmware update? You tell me. I hope so. If they solve it, then you will get a big thumbs up for the photography, because the RAW files look pretty good. And I mean pretty good. Are they comparable to the iPhone 7 Plus? They show a little bit more detail. I like the colors on the iPhone a little bit better, but that's why I love shooting RAW, because with RAW we just shoot the color checker passport and we can actually create our own profile and use that profile for all the other photos. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not shooting an X-Rite color passport for every single shot. You just shoot one outside, you store that profile and use that profile for all your images you make outside, because in the end it just translates what the sensor does with color. So fix that. Now video. Now a lot of people claim that with video the iPhone 7 Plus and the iPhone 8 are much better. I did some tests and in all honesty the image stabilization on the iPhone is slightly better. The detail however on the Note 8 is much better than on the iPhone 7 Plus, and I don't have any comparison videos, just trust me on my beautiful blue eyes. So video wise the image stabilization on the iPhone is better. Is that a bad thing? Well, just turn off the image stabilization in the software and you will use the optical image stabilization. That's something that a lot of people miss. If you use both, you can get a little bit of a jittery effect in your video or jelly effect. If you deselect the image stabilization in the software, it defaults back to the optical image stabilization and it's pretty good. Now I always tell people there's one thing you have to realize. Video I can always stabilize by using a tripod or just hanging a Yobi pot from the bottom, because then you already have a little bit more stability, or use a gimbal. I can't fix extra detail in video. I can't fix extra dynamic range in video, and that's exactly where I like the Note 8 just a little bit better. Is it a lot better? No. Do I need it to be a lot better? No, of course not, because then I take out a professional video camera. This thing is just for recording on the road, doing it quick, down and dirty. And it does it really, really well. Now we all of course love to take selfies, but one of the things that you, well, sometimes run into is actually that a selfie isn't wide enough. So how far can you stretch your arm? And shouldn't there be an easier solution, right? Well, there is in this device. You just swipe and now I can do a wide selfie. And now the only thing I have to do is tap the button and actually swivel the camera, and then you have a wide selfie. Pretty cool, right? Next topic, speed. Of course we need everything faster, 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 and more intense and faster, 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 because life is really, really... Slow down, Frank. Is it really important to have the fastest smartphone on the world? Is it really important that, according to tests at the moment, the iPhone 10 renders a video in 24 seconds, while the Note does it in 2 minutes? Yes, of course, because that saves time. And in all honesty, I don't need extra speed for games. I don't do a lot of games on my phone. I don't need extra speed for Snapseed because, well, it goes fast enough. I don't need extra speed for opening Facebook, but I do need that extra speed for video editing. And as soon as those comparisons came out, I was thinking about like, yeah, well, okay, the iPhone 10 is indeed a lot faster. And then I started thinking about how often do I edit on my phone? And I do edit on my phone, don't get me wrong. I do edit videos on my phone, but not a lot. So most of the time I just video. And then I was thinking about, okay, so you have a lot more speed in the iPhone 10. But what does determine speed? And this is something that may be food for thought. If you edit your video on iMovie on the iPhone, you have to use your fingers. So if you want to do transition, you position it with your finger, you click. If you want to make it bigger, you have to squeeze, pinch, sorry, or squeeze to get it smaller, of course. If you want to change something, you have to press and hold. And it can be very nice to work with on an iPad, but on the iPhone, where the screen is a little bit smaller, I found that often I miss it or I do something wrong because, well, I don't have big hands, but still my finger, well, it's not made to edit video on a small screen. This is, I think, where the Note actually excels, and that's also the reason why I got the Note. If you press here, and this is the part that actually does the magic. It's not a Harry Potter stick, but it comes pretty close when you do video editing, because compared to your finger, this little S Pen, by the way, did you know that the S Pen is actually a Wacom product? It's a Wacom digitizer inside. So what it does, it will actually give you a sensor over the screen, so you see exactly where you are, and it has a very tiny tip. And instead of having your whole hand in front of your screen, you only have this pen, and it makes editing so much faster. So let's say you spend an hour editing on your iPhone 10 and then you render everything in 4 minutes. What if I tell you that editing on the Note 8 thanks to the S Pen will actually only take you 35 minutes or maybe 40 minutes, and you render for 8 minutes? You still save time. You decide what's more important. Oh, and by the way, on the point of the S Pen, if you have the right apps, and I found out that on the Android store, this is one of the things that I liked about the iOS stores, all the apps on the iOS store are for a certain quality. On the Android store, it's literally the Wild West. I downloaded some nice art programs to doodle around, and I was literally so disappointed by the S Pen. I thought it was a piece of crap. It didn't work at all. And then I got Adobe Sketch and some other programs, and it worked like a charm. You had pressure sensitivity. It just worked. So make sure that if you try out a Note and you're not satisfied with the S Pen performance and you like to doodle or draw, make sure that you check out different apps. I absolutely like the Adobe products, by the way. Another thing that I really like is the screen. As soon as you take out your pen, you can actually just write on the screen and it saves it as a note. So you don't even have to open up your phone or whatever. Oh, and by the way, on opening your phone, let's talk a little bit about Voice Assistant. Now, what is the best voice assistant in the world? Hey, Anouk.
Yes.
That's the best voice assistant in the world. She always works. She always knows what I mean. I only have to look at her and she already knows what I need. It's just perfect. Hey, Anouk, what is the time?
It's 10:08.
Sometimes she's very fast, sometimes she's a little bit slower, but she's always accurate. Hey, Anouk, can you make me my bread for today?
No.
And sometimes she just tells me no. But she does a lot of stuff and a lot of tricks. She can do laundry, she can make coffee, she can do everything. Anouk is the perfect voice assistant. Okay, sorry guys, just having a little bit of fun. Hey Siri. That worked like a charm. Whenever you're in the car, you can actually start your music, you can call your wife, you can call your son. It just works. On the Note 8, don't even get me started. Okay, Google? It's a miracle that now for the video it works. And when it works, actually, I really like it. It works great. But for example, if I have Chrome open, even if it's running on the back, if I say OK Google, it will open up my Chrome and it will open up a search bar. No, I don't want the search bar in Chrome. I want my OK Google. Now, it's a miracle, it works. Now, the Hey Bixby, that's a totally other story. Again, for the video, I'm totally stunned. It now works. But the Bixby, I hardly get it to work. Now, when my phone is open, the Google version, I don't dare to say OK Google anymore. The Google version works like a charm. But as soon as my phone is locked, you have to make something that's called a trusted voice. Now you can actually make a phone call to your wife, right? No. It opens up your phone, it says that it will call Anouk Doorhof, but you still have to press dial. Why? Siri knows how to do it. Why not Google? Bixby, I like the voice, I like the idea, but the frustrating part is, you have to make very, very clear what you need to do. It's like, I don't even know what to compare it with, but it's, let me put it this way, it's in the beta stages. So Siri versus OK Google. Now it works like a charm. Ridiculous. I think that Siri wins hands down. If you look at the results, Google wins. But usability, Siri never let me down. I really miss Siri. Sorry, Siri. But hey, maybe I get used to OK Google. OK Google. Which one is better, Siri or OK Google? And it just shows me a web page. I want to hear a joke. I don't want to see a web page. And that's what I really liked about Siri. Most of the time I actually used it to joke around. So, do I really miss Siri? I miss her humor. On the other end, hey Anouk, tell me a joke. That was awesome. Now we just talked about voice assistants, and this is actually when I stopped the video. So this part is actually filmed after I stopped the video. And I was talking to my intern, Milan, and he also has a Google phone, and he told me, like, an Android phone, sorry. He said, well, Frank, I like your opinions, but I don't agree about the voice assistants. I never had a problem with OK Google. The fun thing is, I showed him, and he was going like, I don't get this. He got his phone out, and now imagine this. On the Note, I have trusted voice because I want to be able to open up my phone without using a password. He actually said, "Okay Google," and my phone opened. That's really weird if you put in a trusted voice. So let's see if it works again. Milan, can you say it?
Okay Google.
And
Okay
again.
Google.
So he opened up my phone while I'm on a trusted voice, and his voice doesn't sound like my voice. That's weird, right? The other thing is that he said, no, that should work. Watch this. Okay Google, call my wife. Siri does this. Now, the thing is, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. If I am, leave comments below and just tell me what I do wrong. If I use OK Google, it sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. If I do it from the lock screen, I am now able to open up my phone, but I'm not able to make the call. I still have to press call. But sometimes it also opens up a web search on Call My Wife. It also sometimes just opens up Chrome and shows me the search bar. So if you know a solution for that, let me know, because I really want to like OK Google. But at the moment, I don't. Okay, so many reviews has been done on a few things, and I'm gonna compact this because this video is getting way too long. Sorry for that, guys. So, fingerprint sensor. It's in an awkward position. Totally agree and disagree. I found out that over using the Galaxy Note 8, and then I've had for like 5 days, I'm actually already totally used to just using the fingerprint sensor, and it opens up my phone really fast. So now it's off. Put your fingerprint on, and there it is. Maybe it's the way that I hold my phone. Some people I see holding their phones like this. I can never work like that. I always had it like in the middle, so it's pretty easy for me to reach. Is it in an awkward location? Yeah, without a doubt. Do I like it with the thumbprint way better underneath, like the iPhone? Yes, without any doubt. I just love the way that you unlock your iPhone. Then the other thing, face recognition. Big thing on the iPhone, bad on the Note 8. No, it's not bad at all. Even in the car, when I literally look at my phone, it will already unlock. So for me it works like a charm. In the dark it doesn't work at all, but if I have my hair messy or if I take off my glasses, face recognition works. And I just love to have both the fingerprint sensor, there we go, and the face recognition and the keyword. So overall I'm very, very satisfied by how to unlock my Samsung phone. The other thing that a lot of people talk about is battery life. Does it suck? Yes. But the iPhone 7 Plus also sucked. So maybe the iPhone 7 Plus does 1 hour longer. So the iPhone 7 Plus I had to charge at 4 o'clock at the afternoon. This one I have to charge at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The cool thing is, this one charges really fast, where the iPhone 7 Plus charges really slow. The new iPhones of course have fast charging. The thing is, you have to pay 80 bucks extra for fast charging. With the Samsung, it's already in the box. Then the whole thing about wireless charging. Do I like it? Yes, I like it. And I bought some wireless charging stations, which in a few weeks I can actually already throw away. Because I'm going to use a case. And with the case, wireless charging doesn't work anymore. Am I going to take it out of the case? No, I'm just going to use a wire. By the way, Mophie is coming out with a new case, I hope very soon, that actually supports wireless charging through the case. So you actually wireless charge the battery inside the case. That sounds pretty awesome. So let's hope they really bring that out really fast, because that's one of the products I'm really waiting for. Okay guys, for the final part, and this is not a conclusion, but it's the final part of this, what struck me as an iOS user and now an Android user. Audio. I love when I do video to also have proper audio. So in this case we're using the Bluetooth microphones, but I also love to use, for example, a lavalier microphone. I've been trying a lot to get my audio working on the iPhone 7 Plus in the camera app the way that I like it, and it never worked. With the Note, you actually take the Rode SmartLav, you just plug it in your standard camera app, and it immediately tells you recording audio via the headphone connector. That's how it's supposed to be. You just plug it in, it recognizes it, and you have audio via the headphone connector. You just take it out, and you're done with audio. So that's what I really like about the Note 8. It just works in the standard camera app. So you don't need open camera or any other thing. It just works in the app. Okay, the conclusion. After 5 days of Android, it's very simple. First day, I wanted to run back to iOS. Second day, I wanted to crawl back to iOS. Third day, Android is pretty good. Fourth day, there's a lot of stuff I really like about Android. There's some stuff that I don't like. But that was the same, I think, when you switch back from Android to iOS. There will be things that work differently. There will be things that work better. Overall, I like the customization. I like the way that just everything works. What I was supposed to expect from Apple, by the way, is that everything just works. Now actually goes for Android for me. But my choices of gear can be different of yours, of course. Anything else? I have all my apps on Android that I used on my iOS device. Only Capture Pilot from Capture One I don't have, but you can use a web interface. It connects to my Garmin watch. It connects to everything else. But overall, there are some things that are a little bit more fragile, like notifications. I like the notifications, that it's all in a pull-down menu, that you see everything. But I actually installed an app where you can see the notifications popping up, because I like that on iOS and I miss that on the Android system. The thing that I do like and don't like is the whole customization. Sometimes I just think that it looks a little bit more chaotic. Other times I really like it. So I'm still on the bridge of that. Overall, very, very nice device. I think that if I would have gone for a cheaper brand and a different shell, that I may not like it that much. But the Android shell of Samsung looks pretty good. And compared to the original Android, I think they don't put a lot of bloatware on there. It just works. It's fast. It's really fast. And I just love the effect of the S Pen. So overall, really like the Switch. There's one more thing I actually have to address. And that's with the Samsung. You can actually connect two apps together, like for example email and your calendar, and it will open up those two apps, one on the top, one on the bottom. And that gives you a lot of flexibility. Another thing is the clipboard. This is something that I was looking for on the iPhone for a long time and I couldn't find one that really worked. I do a lot of copy-paste stuff, and standard inside you have a clipboard and you can actually see on the bottom all your copy and paste stuff that you did before. So now it's very easy to just copy and paste everything over from, for example, let's say I want to have the topic of the email, I want to have my signature, and I want to have the details of the email. So I have to copy three things. On the iPhone, I always choose the one that was the most elaborate to type. So at that point, I just choose that one and the other ones I just typed in. With this, you just use your clipboard and you go like click, 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 and you're done. Another thing is the swipe keyboard that I really like. Now, the standard keyboard from Samsung, the first thing you have to do when you get a Note is change that keyboard. It sucks. The how do you call that? The thing that it thinks that you want to type never worked out. Not in Dutch, not in English. It was just terrible. I installed the Google version. Totally love it. Highly customizable, so it now looks like my iPhone. The thing is, and this is something that I really like about this setup, is I can start typing in English, switch to Dutch, go back to English, switch to Dutch, and I don't have to change my properties for my country. It just recognizes the words and it will switch over to Dutch or English. Same when you use OK Google, you can literally just tell it in Dutch or tell it in English and it will automatically switch. Same with dictations. It switches between Dutch and English. Very, very good. On the topic of dictations, it works like a charm. But hey, the iPhone also works like a charm. And finally, the swipe keyboard. Never used one before. Highly recommend using it because it makes typing a lot easier. Now, during the day, you open up a lot of apps and sometimes you want to close those apps, right? Now, on iOS, you actually have to swipe all the apps away to close them. One of the things that I really like about Android is there's just a little option there, close all. The thing that I hate about Android is actually surfing. With the iPhone, if you are in Safari, you can just go back or forward just by swiping. On Chrome and also on the Samsung app, it's a little bit frustrating. You have to find arrows to go back. And that's the same actually when you use the home button. I'm used to, if I am in a folder and I am in Facebook and I want to go back to that folder, I can just use the home button and I'm back in that folder. On Android, I actually go back to the home screen where that folder is located. Now somebody already told me you have to use the arrow key, so the back key. But if I'm deep into Facebook, oh, that sounds dirty. I didn't mean it like that. But if I'm deep into the structure, I have to go back a lot. So that's actually when I started to using different pages for social media, for news. So now when I press the home button, I'm actually back on that page. So that's not a big thing. So I hope you liked the video. If you like what we do, please subscribe to our channel, leave comments below, smash that like button because we really like that. And of course, see you again next time. And I promise, next time will be something again photography related, because I don't want to do a lot of Android, iOS or other stuff. But I think it's interesting. Hey guys, see you again. Bye bye.